I know you're thinking, what kind of crazy thing are we up to today that we're listening to peanut butter jelly time? So we're going to take a look at compound inequalities today. And we're going to realize that they have two different solutions. Okay, two different solutions when we are solving. So let's go ahead and solve and graph this inequality for me. And then we'll move into talking about how peanut butter and jelly could have anything to do with math. All right, let's see how you did. So I see that I have two variables on opposite sides. So I'm going to go ahead and move this 1/2 x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract, and if you need to think about this as a negative 0.5, that is just fine to get rid of that fraction. So negative 9, and this is going to give me a 1.5x. So if I take negative 9 and I divide by 1.5, I come up with x and a negative 6. Now, keep in mind that this is actually x is greater than negative 6. Remember, we always read from the variable. So I have 0, I have negative 6, I know I'm an open circle and to the right, and if I'm highlighting solutions, I'm looking at the numbers to the right. Okay, so compound inequalities are actually very simple. Okay, there's just two of them. So I want you to think about peanut butter and jelly for a couple minutes, and I want you to think about if you have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay, if I have peanut butter and jelly, okay, I'm going to start with bread, and I'm going to put peanut butter on it all the way to the edges. Lots of peanut butter, like peanut butter. And then I'm going to put jelly on top of that, and I'm going to put all the way to the edges the jelly. Strawberry, grape, whatever your deal is. And then I'm going to put the other piece of bread. Okay, so then when I take a bite, I'm going to get both peanut butter and jelly. Okay, I'm going to get peanut butter and jelly. That's one option. Now, if I have peanut butter or jelly, that is something different. So in one hand, I have my peanut butter. So I have my bread and my peanut butter. And if I bite that, I'm only going to get peanut butter. And in the other hand, I have my bread and my jelly. And so if I bite the left hand, I'm only going to get jelly. I'm never, ever going to get both of them. Okay, I'm never going to get both of them. So when I have an and, I get peanut butter and jelly. And if I have an or, I get peanut butter or jelly. I cannot have both. I can only have one. So this is kind of the thought process around compound inequalities. Okay, so let's take a look at what these two inequalities would look like if I graph them. So I'm going to go ahead and start with purple here. So y is greater than or equal to negative 2. So here's negative 2. It's a closed circle to the right. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight the solution, which is going to take me this way. Notice how I highlighted that negative 2 because that's a solution. All right, now I'm going to go to blue, and I have 5. So this is an open circle, and it's to the left. Notice how I went to the bottom. Okay, I went to the bottom. Now I'm going to highlight that solution. Okay? Now if I look at this, I can see here in the center, right here, that is my solution. Okay? And I see both the pink and the yellow. Okay? So that means this is an and inequality. It is a peanut butter and jelly. Okay? Peanut butter and jelly. So I am between the negative 2 and the 5. So if I was to write that solution set, here's negative 2, here's the 5, my x is in the center. Okay? My x is in the center. So when I put these together, and actually we'll make that a y since we started with y, my y is in the center. I'm always going to start with this right one. So I know that this one was less than. So that's the blue one. Y is less than 5. Now this one was eating the y, so it still has to eat the y. and it is greater than or equal to. Notice how these are pointing to the left. Okay, so on an and inequality, they are always going to point to the left, and we're going to put them together to make 1. Okay, we're going to put them together to make 1. So this is what my solution looks like. Okay, and my solution set on the graph is where the two colors overlap. All right, now let's take a look at what that looks like in an equation. Okay, so so we know we need to have one going one way and one going the other way because we're looking for the overlap. Okay, I want you to notice that this part right here is my bread. Okay, that's my bread. So if you think about one being the peanut butter and one being the jelly, I have to have 2 different equations or 2 different slices of bread to be able to make my sandwich. Okay, so is I'm actually going to kind of cross this out for a second, and I have an equation right here. X minus 3 is less than 4. Okay, let me go ahead and I'll use the highlighter here. This is one equation. X minus 3 is less than 4. That's one of them. The second one is the other direction. Okay, the second one is the other direction. So I have negative 2 less than or equal to x minus 3. So notice how this part is the same in both. Okay, now solving these is really super easy because this is a one-step equation. Plus 3, x is less than 7. And plus 3, the process doesn't change, x greater than or equal to 1. So I'm going to flip this and write x is greater than or equal to 1. So I can graph. All right, now let's go ahead and do the graphing. So x is less than 7. So here's 7. Open circle to the left. This one I'll do in red. Closed circle at 1 and to the right. Okay? And if I'm going to highlight, I'm highlighting between the 1 and the 7, but I'm not including the 7 because that is an open circle. Okay? So these are the solutions. All right, now to be able to write our inequality, we're going to put the x in the center. We're going to drop down. We have to read our graph. So the 7 is going to come down on the right-hand side. The 1 is going to come down on the left-hand side. And then I literally drop the inequality. So x is less than 7. So I'm looking at the purple one. X is less than 7. Now this one, I see how it's eating the x. So it has to still be eating the x. And that is done. So I would read this as x is greater than or equal to 1 and x is less than 7. Okay, and remember on an and, they always point to the left, both of them. All right, go ahead and hit pause and see what you can do with this one and see if you can graph it. Get your inequalities, get your 2 equations, graph it, and then come up with your final answer. All right, let's see how you did. Okay, remember the middle piece is the bread. So 3p minus 6 less than negative 15, negative 36, and 3p minus 6. All right, so we're adding 6. So 3p and negative 9. P is negative 3. So I have negative 3 less than open circle to the left. I'm adding 6. 3p and negative 30 and p and negative 10. So p is going to be greater than negative 10. So now I'm here. Okay, so if I'm highlighting solutions on this one, I'm not highlighting the negative 3 and the negative 10 because the solutions are actually between those two numbers because both of these are not equal to. All right, let's see if we can write our inequality. So P's in the center. The -3 is on the right-hand side. The -10 is on the left-hand side. And which direction do these point? You're right, they point to the left. So less than -3, greater than -10. So this is my final solution. And again, this is an and inequality, okay? A peanut butter and jelly. All right, let's take a look at an or. Okay, let's take a look at an or inequality. So we have these two inequalities. So these are exactly the same. We have x is greater than 2. So open circle to the right. My solutions would be here. And I have -1, closed circle, and I'm going to the left. Well, the solution on that one are this way, okay? So notice how we only have one. When you bite, you either get peanut butter or you get jelly. And we have this spot in the center, which is kind of like no man's land, okay? This is where there's not a solution because there's absolutely no color. So I can have a solution over here on the left, and I can also have a solution over here on the right. It's one or the other, okay? One or the other. It's not both. So these do not overlap, okay? These are not overlapping. All right, so let's take a look at an or inequality. So notice how this one actually says or, okay? Sometimes you'll see an and inequality with the word and in the middle, but usually it's put together like what we looked at. But an or is never put together, okay? An or is never put together. So we actually are given two equations. So 3n is going to be less than 27, n is going to be less than or equal to 9. So here's 9, close circle to the left. So that solution set is here. 2n plus 7, 2n is going to be greater than or equal to 20, so n is going to be greater than or equal to 10. So close circle to the right, and solutions are going to be here, okay? So my no solutions are in the center. So this is no solution. So 9.5 would not work, but 10 would work, 11 would work, 12 would work, 13 would work, 8 would work, 7 would work. So when we write the inequality on this one, we're actually going to write the word or. And we're just going to write the two inequalities. We've got our answers right here. N is less than or equal to, let me take that back because it's going to match the graph. So this one is n is greater than or equal to 10 because it matches the graph. And we have n is less than or equal to 9. So it always goes from small to big, so it matches your graph. Okay, it matches your graph. All right, see what you can do with this one. And remember, if you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. All right, let's see how you did. 3a less than or equal to -15, a less than or equal to -5. So -5, close circle to the left. And adding 1, -10a less than 0, but dividing by -10, a is going to be greater than 0. So I'm at 0, open circle to the right. So a solution is this direction and this direction. Okay, and remember to write my solutions. Okay, if it's an or, I'm going to actually write the word or. I have a is greater than 0. A is less than or equal to -5. It's going to match the graph. All right, hopefully that makes some sense. Let's see what you can do with peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter or jelly when you're solving some compound inequalities. Simple solutions. It's mostly important to kind of figure out which direction they're going and how to graph them. Make sure you've got clear open and closed circles and that you can consistently write your solution. And we will catch you on the next video.